There you are.
And we are on TSPN TV today. I'm Richard Forster from the Board of Supervisors. Today we're going to be interviewing County Assessor, almost elected again, no opposition, Jim Rooney. He'll be with us in just a moment, and then we'll be doing our Supervisor pre-meeting report for tomorrow, April 22nd. But until then, we're going to go to a break. We'll be right back with County Assessor Jim Rooney.
You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN.
And this is Supervisor Richard Forster. We're back on TSPN TV on this noon report. And we have with us our County Assessor, Jim Rooney. And by the way, Jim, congratulations.
Oh, thank
on
you.
almost being reelected. You
Yeah.
still have to get over 50% of the vote. Is that right? Or
I don't know.
you have no opponent, right?
I may only need one vote, and I plan on voting for myself.
Okay.
But if that's not the case, I appreciate everybody's vote anyway.
Okay, but nobody filed papers to run against
That's
you,
correct.
so
Hey,
you're on your own.
I want to tell you, last election, 4 years ago, I had competition, which was good because it keeps an elected official on top of things. So competition's just fine.
Competition is healthy, so it must mean you're doing everything right.
Well, hopefully most things. But I want to tell you, 4 years ago, Todd Reeby, he was giving me a little hard time, you know, because I was running in a campaign.
Right.
And he didn't have competition. And you know what? I nearly got as many votes as he did, and I had competition. That's for Todd.
When you had competition,
Yeah,
one
that's
person
right.
running against you.
And Todd's a...
Well, you're here today. I'd asked you to speak on state responsibility area, fire fees. We're going to speak more on assessments. But just quickly on the SRA fees, they've been billed by the Board of Equalization.
Yeah.
And I've got some people that ask
gosh.
questions. I'm sure you did too, correct?
Yeah, I lost. You know what? The ironic thing about it is I got one of these bills too. I hate it. I lost it. I can't find it, and I'm going to have a penalty. If you do have your bill, make sure you pay it on time, and also protest it too. Because if you don't protest it, you won't get refunded when you when they declare this an illegal tax.
Right.
So be sure and put in that protest, and you can find that stuff on the BOE website.
If you find your bill, it's probably the same place your cow bingo tickets are. So.
Okay.
Anyway.
They might be in the same place. I can't find anything.
Yeah, are you hearing people complain about the fees this year?
You know, not as much. People are kind of used to it. They're just, the problem is this litigation, what is it going to take, 3 or 4 years? The state's going to collect probably, you know, $180 million, have to refund part of it. It's ridiculous. I was at a State Board of Equalization meeting, and our representative, George Renner, he said, what's going to happen if we have to refund all this money? They said they're only going to refund it to the people who did protest. So you paid money into an illegal tax, it wasn't correct, and they're going to keep the money.
Right.
So you got to file that protest fee.
And to
too.
file
It's
the protest,
ridiculous.
yeah, you need to go on the Board of Equalization website. There are protest forms that you actually have to file. So
Yeah, there are.
let's go on to assessments. We've had, since about 2008, a pretty bad economy.
Yeah.
And I know, being on our Board of Supervisors, we've approved many changes in assessment, all down.
Yeah.
You got to expect it, I guess. From 2008 to 2013, things were pretty miserable.
Well, let me tell you, from 2002 until 2008, assessments were going up. We raised them. The assessments in Amador County went up about 80% in that time period. Just an awful lot they went up. That's what we were supposed to do. Well, now from 2008, property values have been going down. It's our obligation to be fair. We were fair when they were going up. We're fair when they're going down. So for about 6 years, we've been lowering assessments, and we've been doing it as good as we could possibly do it, as efficiently as we could. Sometimes we miss some. We didn't mean to, but we did. Not too many. I think we got almost everybody. But regardless, of all the people whose assessments went down, the market's turned around a little bit, and some of these assessments, a good majority of them, are going to start going up. Now, the problem we might have is people are used to Prop 13, where assessments don't go up more than 2% in a year. Well, the assessments that we lowered those values below the Prop 13 value, and we can raise it more than 2% in a year. So some people whose assessments were lowered, and lowered substantially, they're going to see increases this next year, which will be in excess of 2%.
Let's talk about a home value. Let's say your home is valued at, let's make it easy, $100,000. You come in with a new assessment done by your office that says it's worth $150,000. Then it's going to be more than that 2% increase They're going to be assessed on that new $50,000 value.
Well, let me term that a little bit differently. Let's say somebody bought a home for $200,000,
Okay.
and the market immediately went down, and we assessed it at $100,000.
Okay.
Maybe that's what you were getting to. Well, now the market's turned around.
That's after the 2002 to 2008 is worth $100,000. So you've lowered the value then.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the market's turned around.
So now we can raise that value all the way back up to the original $200,000 value with those percentage increases. But most likely it hasn't rebounded 100%. So we might raise it from 100 to 150 or to 140 or 160, which is a 40, 50, 60% increase.
Will that come as a supplemental assessment if you raise it
No,
like that?
it won't be a supplemental. It will be just an increase in the coming year's assessment.
Okay.
And they're going to get a new bill when they receive the new bills in October or November, due in December, that will show that new assessed value. Now, if people think we've assessed them incorrectly and they think it's too high or too low, if you think we're too low, you can let us know too. But if somebody thinks the assessment isn't correct, they can still request a review. And we will review it, and we'll make sure that we think the value is correct.
Make clear that review time period that they can request.
Well, the review time period, people can really ask for it anytime they want to. There's two avenues to take here. One is you can ask for your assessment to be reviewed. We call it an informal review. We look at it and we review it, see if we think it's right. And we change a lot of them actually. But if they don't agree with us and we still have that disagreement, then they can ask for an appeal.
Right. The actual review period, though, that they fall into for valuation purposes, and this is what the Board of Equalization at our county level has to look at.
Okay, no, I think you're talking about appeal now.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, when they ask for a review, we just look at it. It's very informal. Now we disagree with them. Now, if they ask for that, they're going to appeal. They don't like. We can't come to an agreement. They go to the Board of Supervisors. That appeal period starts on July 2nd, and they have till November 30th to put that appeal in. That or 60 days after getting the notice of reassessment.
And if they're looking for reasonable comparables, where is the period that those comparables have to fall within?
Well, they cannot be more than 30 days after the event date. So if we're valuing somebody's property as of January 1st, which is what we will do, they can't be more later than 90 days after that, or essentially April 1st is too late, but any time in January, February, or March is fine.
They can use prior year data also.
They can use prior, as far back as they want to. Generally, we don't go more than a year prior.
Okay, so they could go a year prior, but not more than 90 days forward.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, finding comparable sales is hard. You have to, generally you go to a realtor, but they can come into our office and we will even assist people to find sales. And one thing we really like to do, we like to assist people in their assessments, even when we disagree, because a lot of times it'll show that we're doing it correctly, and then it helps us come to an agreement.
And you said Board of Supervisors. Actually, for an appeal hearing,
Yeah.
the Board of Supervisors becomes the Board of Equalization. But
Yes.
let's talk about the reasonable comparables you can use, because a lot of times people bring property in that's under a foreclosure or some other scenario that is not considered an open market transaction.
Well, we call them comparables or comps. It is comparable. It's a comparable property, and that's very subjective. Somebody might say, I think my house is very comparable to one that just sold. But generally, I would say we like it to be within a few hundred square feet in size on the same size parcel, and also something of a similar quality. Now again, it's very subjective, but if we find 8 or 9 comparables, we pick the best 3 out of those, and it generally indicates a pretty good value. A lot of times there's a very wide value range, and we tend to be a little bit on the conservative side with our assessments. But a comparable sale is just that. It's something that's comparable. And you know what? We like it in the same time frame too.
Right.
We have pictures of properties. We like to provide pictures too. But we'll help people. And we might even disagree with somebody who says they think it's comparable, we think it's not. Where a lot of disagreements come in is sometimes people are trying to compare a similar size and quality, but it's a manufactured home to a stick-built home. We don't think those are comparable.
I just had someone tell me yesterday, I was at his house, a very nice house, large, over 3,000 square feet, but it was a manufactured house. And what he says is for financing purposes, they always tell you they devalue, not value up. So it's somewhat different than stick-built houses.
But you know, manufactured homes, those are tough because a lot of people say they're really of very similar qualities to a stick-built home these days. I tend to disagree. I like stick-built. I think they're just a little better quality.
But your message today basically is that the assessments are probably going to be going up because property values are going
Okay,
up.
let me tell you. For most of the county, assessments this year, here's the good news for the taxpayer in general, will go up less than 0.5%. It's going to be just about the same as last year. However, for the 5,000 or so properties that are on that Prop 8 status, there's a good chance they're going to see increases between 10 and 30%.
Okay.
And but you know, they've benefited from decreased assessments over the past few years, and we're being as fair as we can be.
Right.
And you know, sometimes us being as fair as we can be is to detriment to the county budget, as you would know. But it's fair.
I've been as fair as I can be with you on time today, so we got
that's
the
fair
message
enough.
out. If you have any questions, you can talk to your county assessor. You know he's going to be here for at least 4 more years.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, quickly.
If I was as fair with my golf scores as I am with my assessments, I'd be maybe on the PGA Tour.
All right.
Low scores.
Well, you can take that to the bank. And with that, we're going to take a break. Thank you, Jim, for being here. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with the Board of Supervisors pre-meeting report on the April 22nd meeting.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.